So you're getting your Yeriday Shir. You're getting a Yeriday Shir. That came unsolicited? No, you spoke to me. That was a good idea. Good idea. Okay. All right, here we are. On Daf Tes, we're starting a new mimer. I was just discussing. I have another class in the city, and we learned over there about Yegulim and Yosher. I don't know if you ever heard that term, Yegulim and Yosher. Yosher means when there is a straight line development, step after step, in a kind of a logical progression. And Yegulim is when it encircles itself. Yegulim, ego means a circle. And the idea is, whatever the idea over there, but I was explaining that a child, let's say, or any person, just in child, it's a clear illustration, goes into grade 1 and starts learning whatever, Aleph base, and progresses throughout the year, and at the end of the year is able to read and starts Chumash. Then he comes in grade 2 and starts learning Chumash and continues on. So essentially, in terms of the progression of his learning, is very closely connected. He finished this and is going to the next step. And yet, there is a very great significance in differentiating that now he's not just continuing. He was in first grade, now he's in second grade. What happens in between? In the first grade, he comes to a conclusion. He has finished something. This finishing quality represents a getting back in touch with himself. As you're learning, let's say you're learning Aleph base. Learning an Aleph is a valuable thing in itself. But without a base and a gimel, you can't use it. You don't have a complete thing. When you learn throughout the whole Aleph base, and then you learn the vowels and the kudas, and then you practice reading, now you have a complete thing. During this whole process that he is developing this Aleph base, he is learning, but he is in the middle. When he started off, he was not in the middle. When he started off, he was a complete. Whatever stage he knew who he was. Now he was in the middle, during this whole process, and he didn't know exactly where he stands. When he reaches a conclusion, that's a first grade, then it kind of reverts back and says, okay, here's where I am, here's who I am. He kind of redefines himself. And then when it comes to second grade, it's a new start. It's not just that he continues on, it's a new start of the whole person. He's not in the middle, it's in the whole person, and he now re-identifies himself, redefine who he is, and you start and makes a new start. And the same thing is true in every situation when there is a conclusion and a start. The new start means that, okay, we were in the middle, we were digging and trying to get to a certain understanding, and we have the point of the mimer. Now it's a new start. Now that we have this, we can start a new Inyan. Although, technically speaking, we are going to be actually developing further on building on what we know. But the new start is very significant. So now we have a new start. We're starting in a new minor. So we say, even though it's based on the previous one, we start, it's a fresh start. The translation of these words, and these words refer to the promise that the Rebbe has for the Jewish people. He will make us survive, and that we should live through Yemayim, the 2 days, and then by Yom HaShlishi, then comes, after the 2 days comes the third day. And the third day, that's when we reach the highest. Yikimenu, he will stand us up, v'nichya lefonov, and we will live before him. Which means that by Yom HaShlishi, the 2 days are significant, but the real elevation is by Yom HaShlishi. Hine, what is these 2 days and the third day? This life that we get from 2 days, this refers to the 2 days of Rosh Hashana. The Rosh Hashana le'yolam beis yom. Rosh Hashana is always 2 days. Just briefly, the Indian that Rosh Hashana is 2 days, even though in the Torah it says only 1 day. But we always make Rosh Hashanah 2 days. The reason for that is since that Rosh Hashanah is also on Rosh Chodesh. And Rosh Chodesh depends on witnesses coming to the Beis Hamikdash, to the Bezdin, to testify that they have seen the Levana, the moon. And since this seeing the moon on the very day is not guaranteed, sometimes they come, sometimes they don't come. So that's why Rosh Hashanah was always made 2 days. Okay. Now, Pesach and Shavuos and Sukkot is 2 days only in the diaspora, only in the areas that are far away from Yerushalayim. In Yerushalayim, in Eretz Yisrael, it was 1 day. Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot is 1 day. Because whenever the witnesses come, that's when they establish Rosh Chodesh, and the people in Eretz Yisrael are notified that Rosh Chodesh was established. But the people who live further than 2-week journey from Yerushalayim, they couldn't be notified. Therefore, they had to keep Pesach 2 days because they didn't know which day was Rosh Chodesh. So this applies only to Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, where the doubt is only in the diaspora, in the further out areas. But Rosh Hashanah, which is in Yerushalayim itself, and there itself they didn't know how to make the korbanos, Rosh Hashanah korbanos or not, so therefore they made it always 2 days. From the Sophic. So this is the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. Bayom HaShlishi Yikimenu, and this the third day. But to say Yikimenu, he will stand us up. Who Yom HaKippurim. This refers to the Yom HaKippurim. Ubetonot ve'Eliyahu Isa Yichayenu miyemayim. In Ton he explains this inyan from 2 days and the third day. Yichayenu miyemayim, the 2 days who Olam Hazeh. This is the Olam Hazeh. Olam Hazeh is 2 days. Bayom HaShlishi Yikimenu. Then when they say the third day Yikimenu, who Olam Habo. They said the Olam Habo is called the third day. Why is that? Omash Olam Hazeh Nikro Yemayim. The fact that Olam Hazeh is called Yemaim 2 days, Hainu Mipnei, that is because Shagam Gan Eden Ubichlal Olam Hazeh. Because Gan Eden is also included, is part of Olam Hazeh. This is all part of the same structure, of the same general structure of Olam Hazeh in the physical world and Gan Eden. The Yikir Olam Haba Hanisker Mishnah, because Olam Haba that is mentioned in Mishnah, the Gemara, Hu Olam Hatchiyah. That's a different world completely, in a different category totally. This is called Olam Hatchiyah, the world of Tchiyah, when everything is rejuvenated and Tchiyah is amazing. Ukmoi, as for instance, when it says in the Mishnah, Kol Yisrael Yeshlom Chelek L'Olam Haba, that all Yidden have a part in the Olam Haba, the Koyi Aloilam Hatchiyah. This Olam Haba refers to the Olam Hatchiyah. The Gan Eden who Bichlal Olam Hazeh. The Gan Eden is included in the general statement of Olam Hazeh, the current world. V'zehu Inyan Yoimayim, and this is the reference of Yemaim 2 days. Hainu Zeho Eilam, the Gan Eden. What are the 2 days? Zeho Eilam, our world, the physical world, and then also the Gan Eden. That's the 2 days. Oy or Olam Hazeh v'Imois HaMoshiach, or Olam Hazeh, the current period, and Imois HaMoshiach, which is the direct result of Olam Hazeh. It's called the second day. But then the third day, when we actually stand up and to the highest level, Hu Olam Haba, Shu Olam Hatchiyah. This is called Olam Haba, the world to come. Olahovin Shaychus Beis HaPirushim Hanal Zelozeh. So now we have 2 Pirushim in the 2 days and the third day. Either it's Rosh Hashana, 2 days of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, or Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. The 2 Pirushim in the same meaning have to have a relationship, and now we want to understand what their relationship is. To understand this Tzorich Lahagdim Tchilo, we have to go back, or actually remind ourselves, or bring back this which we have already discussed, Inyan Bino Yiseiro Nitno B'Yisho Yeser Mivoyish. This general Inyan that we discussed in the previous Maimer, that the Bino, that B'Yisho there is more, the Inyan of Bino, there is extra Bino in the Isho than in the Ish. Tznisboer Lehil, which we have explained previously in the previous Maimer, Al Bechinas Hadibur, that this refers to the union of Dibur. Shehi Isha, Ish and Dibur is the union from Isha. Sheyesh Bozeh Yisro in Koyach, in which there is greater Koyach, Shalidezem Mitoisef Oe Beseichel Omidus. We explained what in Dibur there is greater Bino. What does that mean? Because in Dibur there is a special koyach that even though Dibur represents that which was previously in Machshava, and yet when it comes into Dibur, there's an increase in the Seichel and Midas over that which was in Machshava. Machshava can never reach that depth and that clarity that is reached when it comes into deep. This is what we explained in the previous Maimer. V'hinei, kishem shehu b'dibur, just as we have discussed this in Dibur, shehu b'b'chinas hashpa ruchnis, which is in the realm of hashpa ruchnis, of spiritual revelation, spiritual gift. Shenikro shrefa chitzoyni bichlal, In general, this is called, Shval Ruchnis, it's called Shefa Chitzonis. A Shefa that is external. External means that it is created externally, it is not something that is taken a part of the Mashpia. The Mashpia is revealing what he has in mind, but he's not giving him part of his mind. Kanal, as we discussed previously. But similarly, the similar inyan will be understood by Hashpo Pnimis. When you talk about a deeper, a more internal Hashpo, which is found lehoili b'doima, which is found in giving birth. That when the child is born, and the mother gives birth to a child, it isn't that the mother gives the child the possibility of learning, possibility of taking something and developing it on its own. No, this is hashpo zu. It is actually gives birth a replica, so to speak. It gives birth of another complete person, similar to the person that gave birth. The hashpo zu, this type of hashpo, he bechinas hashpo pnimis ve'atzmis. This is a different level of hashpo. This is when he gives part of himself. Pnimis, an internal, and the deepest aspect of the person goes into this hashpo. And it is entirely representative of the very essence of the person. The atzmus nafshoi, where the etzem, the very essence of his nefesh, nim shal b'hashpo zu, is drawn in this hashpo, ad shehu b'doim eloi mamash, to the extent that the hashpo is totally representative of his nefesh, that he is actually b'doim eloi mamash. He's like a replica, completely similar to the mashpia. And that happens just through this hashpah itself, not that later on he develops. It happens in the hashpah, b'doim eloi mamash. The oid yochel liyos, and even more than that, yochel liyos, it's possible that should be yofek koyach haben kundul kanal. Not only is it that he gives him hashpah and from his essence, that he approximates the parent, not yofek koyach haben. It could be that the son should be superior, should be even more improved, even over his father. This is the hashpah pnimis. Mikol mokoin. However, still, even though we say that this is hashpah atzmis, it comes from the very essence of the soul. Still, zehu beyikir. This happens beyikir principally alidei hamakabel dafka. It doesn't come directly from the father to the son. It has to go through a makabel. It has to go through someone, the mother, that receives the hashpah first from the father. Validei shehi as atipo bebeten ho'ein, and then, as a result of this tipo, developing the beten ho'ein in the mother's womb, this is what creates the child, so that the child will be like the father. But, so even though it comes from the essence of the father, but how does it come actually to happen? It is through a makabel, to the mother receiving this hashpah, translating it, so to speak, and transforming it until it becomes a child. And then the child is b'doim eloi, completely reflects the hashpah. So what is this? What is signified in this? Why does it have to be through the intermediacy of the mother of the makabel? The inyan in this is like this. The hine yodua. It is known that in order to facilitate this hashpah, to give birth, bedoima, a child that approximates the father, nim gilui oir elyoin milamayla. In order to facilitate this inyan, there has to be a higher oir coming milamayla. I'll explain in a minute. Okmeisha Kosov, as the pasuk says, Zochar and Nekeva bara Isom, that Hashem created them as Zochar and Nekeva. Vayvarech Isom, and then He gave him a bracha, He blessed them. Ayoim Elahem Prurvu, and He told them that they should be fruitful and multiply. When did He tell them that they should be fruitful and multiply? After that, Vayvarech Isom, after that He gave him the bracha. So I want to just stop here for a moment and explain what he's saying here. Superficially, as we know it, giving birth is a father and a mother. And it seems to be like the father and the mother, they have that capacity to give birth. But what we're saying here, that is not entirely true. The father and the mother are really only a means for giving birth. They in themselves have the koyach to give birth. Giving birth is a real creation. It isn't just a reflection of one's seichel. Oh, I understand such and I can tell you what I understand. It's a real creation, creating a complete entity, like we discussed previously, a complete independent entity. And this entity actually survives the parents. Right? That's the normal way the whole idea is that this entity creates a new generation and it goes ad infinitum. It's totally independent and not limited to the parents, to the chayes of the parents. If it's not limited to the chayes of the parents, how can the parents create something that's greater than themselves? If the parents are at a certain stage in life, let's say, and they're able to replicate and give of their strength, let's say, so what is their strength? Their strength is at this stage. They're whatever age, and that's what it is. Say no, they give birth to a child from infancy, and this child has a full lifespan in front of him, and he has the capacity to give birth to another child, to start a new life again, indefinite. So that means that the koyach that is manifest in this process, in this phenomenon of giving birth, is a koyach that is greater than the people involved in bringing it out. This is what the pasuk says, that Hashem created them Zochar and Nekeva. But that creation, Zochar and Nekeva, only laid down the groundwork, made it possible to happen. But it didn't give them the koyach. Then afterwards, Vayvorech Oisam, He gave him a special bracha, Prurvu. This koyach, this bracha it represents an additional koyach that is given to them as a unit. Each one of them has their koyach. The zocher is a zocher and the cave is a cave. Independently, they cannot give birth. And by joining them, Hashem gave him a special bracha. This special bracha, this is an add-on, an additional, a higher koyach that was drawn, that was given to them beyond their natural life's koyach. And this is what permitted it and gave the koyach to be fruitful and multiply.
Why do they need something special bracha where everything, all the animals in the world they don't need such a bracha?
The animals of the world also need the bracha.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It says Vayvarach, it says in the Pasuk also. So that giving birth is representative of a koyach that actually is greater than the father or the mother. It's an additional koyach that is higher than both of them. Ukiyodua, so he explains the scene in a little bit. Ukiyodua, as is known, bi'inyan ba'atoro she'itro lo imoy. It's a posik, atoro she'itro lo imoy, a posik in Shir Hashirim. Atoro means a crown. The crown she'itro lo imoy that his mother provided for him, that crowned him. What is the meaning of the crown and the mother crowns him? The ho'atoro hi bechinas keser. Kiyodua. The atoro is like a crown. Hibchinas keser is the inyan of keser. Umishom hu shoyresh hamshochas hashpo hu atzmis hanal. And from this keser, this is where this hashpo atzmis, this in hashpah that represents the essence, comes from. Simply what this is saying, just like a keser, a crown, that this is going to be discussed, just like a crown. A crown will be put on the head of a king. What is the idea of a crown? Why do we coronate a king by putting a crown on his head? It's not just a piece of ornament. There's significance to it. Why do you put a crown over his head? The idea of a crown is the head is clearly the source, the seat of the neshama, the seat of the nefesh. And this is where the highest koiches of the nefesh reside, starting from Chochmah Bina V'das, the seichel of the person, which is the essence, representative of the essence, the intelligence. And this is the starting point of his life. This is where the neshama rests in the brain. And from there, the chayes is disseminated and comes to the whole body. The crown is put on top of the head. That means that this is something which hovers over and above and surrounds the intelligence, the Chochmah Bina V'das. As we have discussed previously in the previous Maimer and under other circumstances, especially in the previous Maimer, Seichel, even Chochmah, also has a source. We said there is the Koyach HaMaskil. Remember that? The Koyach HaMaskil. And then actually it goes beyond the Koyach HaMaskil. Koyach HaMaskil is already the beginning of the Seichel, where we identified as being aware of what he is. And then there is the essence itself. What is the difference? How do we define the difference between the essence and the Seichel? The Seichel, there are different madrigas. There is Chochmah, there is Bin, and there is Das. These three qualities constitute the Seichel. This is a full complement of the Seichel. In the essence of the person, the source of all that which defines what he really is, there, everything is contained, everything is there. But everything is there on the essential level. There are no distinctions between Chochmah, Bina, and Das. Chochmah, Bina, and Das are only a means to reveal and define that which is contained in his essence. But the essence itself, everything is at the level of its own presence, of its own truth, and there are no distinctions, there are no identifiable pieces to it. This is the essence. This essence is represented by a crown. Because a crown is like a circle around the head, which signifies, which symbolizes the Indian that this person, this melech, what is the difference between a melech and a sar, a prime minister? And a melech, we crown. We put a crown on his head. Prime minister, we don't put a crown on his head. And yet, he makes all the decisions. He rules the country. But what is the difference? The difference is, the prime minister, he rules the country by virtue of his wisdom, by virtue of his knowledge, understanding right from wrong, knowing how to go about accomplishing certain things. He's doing all the research, he studies everything, and he has recommendations as to how and what should be done. All based on his seichel. The melech, he represents the essence, that which is higher than the seichel. So he rules not by virtue of his seichel, but by virtue of what he is, of who he is. This is why a melech has a crown, to show that his position is not just his seichel, that he's wise and good, but he is above the whole fray, the whole question and answer, the whole investigative part. He represents the very essence of this nation. And what he wants, that is representative of the whole nation. It's not just because it has a logical argument, has a logical reason for being the right thing to do. But this is representative of the nation. Like we know, one of the things that a melech the Melech does, and this is one of his major responsibilities, as the Rambam describes, that a Melech can declare war. He can take his nation to war. Now, war is not such a good thing. War is exposing his people to danger. And many of them don't come back from war. So, Apiseichel, you're doing him a disfavor. By what right? But because the Melech is representing the essence of the person, not just his functioning level, but what the essence of the nation is, this is why he has the capacity to take people out to war. Because this is where the person, the nation, represents its essence beyond its current and present state and of existence, but what it really stands for. It's interesting that in this country the structure is of course there is no Malchus, but the structure of government was also set up to approximate and to allow for all the things of the government to take place. And there's a president who is on top of the whole government, and he is elected directly by all the people. He's in fact the only person who is elected by all the people in the whole country. And he has ministers and advisors and all that. But who can declare war? Only the president. Because the president is supposed to have what's called the pulse of the people. He's supposed to have the pulse of the country. He's representing the whole country as a whole, and the principles for which the country stands for. Not just what's advantageous. This is the concept of a crown, that declares this person above the normal definition of a human being, which is based on seichel and midas. And in going back to the essence, to the nefesh itself, representing of what the essence is, where all the seichel and midas come from, what it's coming from. Can you read it? Got the point? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, you can ask.
Say for this is coming from essence, right? And as Lord previous proposal, they developed with time.
The seichel and midas can develop.
They develop, but they should develop towards essence, right? Towards where they come from. They should not deviate. That's it.
Right.
And that's why if they are deviating, so you have to go over sometimes. So that's the idea. Why would my question is, I just something saying. I want to know the point. Why would you need to go sometimes according to your essence? Why would you need such a thing? If you're saying that your seichel is coming directly from your essence, and like a star, for example, it represents the melon completely. I mean,
Because, okay, seichel comes from the essence, but its awareness starts from the point of, here I am. It does not start from the point of what I'm here for. And the essence is what I'm here for. That's higher than the whole presence of the whole existence. This is why seichel is not capable of making this type of decision. Like we say, mesiras nefesh is not possible at this seichel, even though it also comes from the essence. But there's no capacity for it. Because how can seichel agree not to be? The whole meaning of seichel is I'm here, not that I'm not here. But at the nefesh, this is where it's possible to have mesiras nefesh. Because there, the essence, is not I'm here, but what is the truth that I stand for? What am I representing? Why am I here? There it's possible to see this.
We still say, I mean, we still say that we need to have a say. But you don't say, let me just deal with essence.
No, of course not.
For a reason to develop, right?
The seichel is absolutely, this is the primary functioning koyach. In other words, there's the functioning level and there's the essence. What is on the functioning level? It has to be seichel completely. You can't just go from the yetzer. You have to know what you're doing, and then you have to decide how to do it, how to bring it into this world. Like I described to you, previously. You say, I want to have a house. Okay, but now you have to put it. You have to use a seichel and know how to build it. It doesn't happen from your rots. That you have to then feed into the seichel, and this is what I want. And the seichel has to figure out how to get it function, how to get it in the repoil. Okay. Okay, so we say like this. It is going back to what we said before. That the inyan of lehoilid b'doimaloi, this is a bracha that comes from a higher source than themselves. As we know in the Pshat HaTorah she'itro le'imim, where it says that HaTorah, this is the kesed, kiyodua. Umishom hu sheres amshochas hashpoas ha'atzmis hana. From the kesed, this is where the hashpoah atzmis is drawn from. That's hashpoah atzmis, from the kesed. How do you get the kesed? V'amshochas ha'Torah, and when is the HaTorah given? When is the HaTorah revealed? B'yem chasunosei davke. The HaTorah is revealed b'yem chasunosei. The whole posuk that we quoted before, B'Torah she'itro lo imoy, the end of the posuk is B'Torah she'itro lo imoy b'yem chasunosei. Which means that this HaTorah, which is the essence, the source of the essence, hashpoah atzmis, when is it come into being? When is it nimshach? When is it granted? B'yem chasunosei davke. What is chasunosei? What's the meaning from Hashana? The meaning from Hashana is b'shvil hamkabel. Because at the time of Hashana, what happens then? Then there is a joining between mashpia and the kabel. And in order to facilitate this hashpoah, that there is now the connection between the mashpia and the kabel, this is when the HaTorah comes, because this is where there is a possibility of this hashpoah atzmis into the makabel. B'shvil hamkabel. Ukedisa b'zeyar. And as it says in the Zeyar HaPosik, God el Havaye umhula me'eid be'ir lekein. What's the pshat in Posik? God el Havaye umhula me'eid. Hashem is very great, and very praised. Be'ir lekein. In Hashem's, in be'ir lekein, in the city of God. What is the pshat? So the Zeyar says, a Mosai hu godel. When is he great? Kshehu be'yir Elokeinu dafka. When do you see his greatness? And when is his greatness manifest and revealed? Kshehu be'yir Elokeinu. When he is in the city. What's meant the city? City means just like the pashtas. What is a city? A city, this is where there is a malchus, there are houses, there are people, there is makablim, those who receive his hashpah. When there is the place where he can be mashpia, this is where his greatness comes out. not when he is to himself, but when can you call him great? When his hashpah comes out. That's what be'ira lekenu. That means in the city, which means where there is a complete manifestation of his greatness. Masha'en came. Whereas Malko beloy matrunisa, this is a Lashon Nozeir. Malko beloy matrunisa. If a king without the queen, Malko beloy matrunisa, the king without the queen, Lavihu melech, he is not a melech, V'lavihu godel, and neither is he great. So this is still at that level, at the Zohar level, which is going to be, we bring it all down. So again, Zohar says the Melech without Matronisa, without the Makabel, lacks and does not reveal the union of greatness, and he's not really a Melech. When does he become a Melech? When there is Ira Lekenu, when there is Mashpah. L'hainu. What is this point to? It means this: Kemal kohu b'chinazot. Malko, which is melech. This is b'chinazot. This is the union of zot. Zot is ze'er ampin. You familiar with this? Zot, yeah, ze'er ampin, which refers to the spheres of Atzilus. She'ezeh inyan Shem Havaya. This is what the Shem Havaya. Bechinas HaTiferes, which is the union of Tiferes, because even though there are 7 midos, but the central midah of all the midas is Tiferes, because this incorporates all the midas. This is the main midah. V'hinei. So this is Zoh in general. It's Malka, Shem Havaya. V'hinei beloy matrunisa. But if Zoh is without matrunisa, what is matrunisa? He bechinas hamalchus. This is the last sphere of it's called malchus. And what is the hamalchus? The pashtus malchus means, as we know, malchus receives the hashpah from all the higher spheres and then transmits it lamata. That's in malchus. So this is the malchus. Lav without matrunisa, without the malchus, lav yehu melech, lav yehu god. Then he's not a melech. He has all the qualities of a melech. He has all the spheres and tiferes and so forth. But the union of melech per se and greatness comes to him only when there is the connection to malchus. Ki yiker hagadlus, because the principle, the main union of gadlus, of greatness, nimshach mibchinas ho'atoro dafka. The real concept of greatness is expressed in the union of Atorah, the crown. Ukemoshel hamelech, such as we know the moshel of the king, shemachtirim eise bekeser malchus, that they crown him with this keser. And this is where the melech really reaches this union of greatness. And as we discussed, I explained before, what is the greatness we're talking about? The greatness is, if like a prime minister, if he makes a better argument for doing a certain thing in a certain way, that doesn't refer to his greatness. That's not representative of his greatness. It is representative of his seichel, of his information. Where do we see greatness? Greatness is where the decision and the leadership comes not exclusively based on logical arguments, but it is based on, it is representative of the essence. Then you see the greatness. And when is this greatness there? When is this greatness revealed? This is when he gets a crown. And when is the crown bestowed upon him? When he joins Matris, when he comes to be Mashpia. When he comes to be Mashpia. So we see here the approximation to what we discussed in the previous minor. That when is the real greatness revealed of the Seichel? When it's Mashpia in Dibur. When the Seichel comes in Dibur. And we said there that it's not only when he thinks of what he's going to say. When he's ready to speak, it doesn't happen. When does it actually happen? When he actually speaks, when he's actually Mashpia. This is where the real greatness comes out. This is like the crown of the Seichel, the crown of the Seichel. Like we said before, the Atzmi is a Seichel. But we said that this Seichel is no longer, I'm reminding you, the Seichel, because we spoke of, the Seichel is no longer based on Seichel, it makes sense, but it represents a truth that I recognize, like we said, an absolute truth. That's like the crown of the Seichel. When is the crown bestowed? During Hashpah. The same thing by a Melech, in the meaning from crown, from Keser. When he becomes a Melech, as we're going to see later, when he's ready to be Mashpia, that's when he gets a crown. He doesn't get a crown when he is capable of being a Melech, when he is a supreme person, a superior person. He's very fine and refined and a bar seichel and all that. He is good for prime minister. Doesn't get a crown until he is actually a melech, when he takes on the hashpah.
So he's actually acting as Malach before they crown him. It has to be the hashpah before.
This we're going to see how this actually works, which comes first. And it happens simultaneously, but we'll understand how that happens. But the point is, again, the similar inyan, that the real greatness, the real essence, and the Hashpah Atzmis that is represented by the crown comes during Hashpah. Not when you're capable of Mashpia, but in the process of Hashpah itself. Okay, you have any questions? Now it's going to go a little more at our level, but this is like laying the groundwork for it. Okay? I did. Oh.
We discussed writing down more